Manchester City only have 4 certain starters versus Brighton. Manchester City were beaten by Tottenham in the Premier League on Saturday, having impressed on the opening day against Wolves. Manchester City started the season with an abundance of positives at Wolves. But the weekend defeat to Tottenham means the Blues now have a raft of selection questions. Some of those who started at Molineux couldn't follow up their fine performances against Spurs. Pep Guardiola only made 2 changes to his 11 for the Etihad defeat, but he could make plenty more for the trip to Brighton this weekend. City arguably only have 4 certain starters for the contest, with question marks over who starts in goal and in the advanced midfield positions, while the injury news will impact the backline. James Trafford was given the nod in goal against Tottenham, but suffered a poor afternoon and was at fault for the second goal. Ederson is fit again and was on the bench last time out, and the Brazilian could return, but transfer links persist and the 32-year-old might not even be a City player come the weekend. If he does depart, the Blues will move for out of favour PSG stopper Gianluigi Donnarumma. It's a fascinating plot to play out over the final weeks of the window, and it means there remains plenty of uncertainty around the position. At the back, John Stones and Ruben Dias will likely continue their partnership, particularly given Rayan Aït-Nouri's injury. If the Algerian is past fit to start, then Josko Gvardiol, who has yet to feature this season due to his own injury, could come into the middle of defence, but the Croat may yet be needed at left back. On the opposite side, Rico Lewis has been given the nod thus far, but he struggled against Spurs, having impressed at Wolves, and Matheus Nunes will be eyeing a start. Further forward, Tijani Reinders and Erling Haaland are perhaps the only 2 certain starters with question marks elsewhere. Nico Gonzalez hasn't fully convinced in the middle of the park, and Rodri will assume the role when fully fit, but he's not a definitive starter while City manage his return to fitness. City have an embarrassment of riches across the 3 attacking positions, yet perhaps no nailed-on selection. Phil Foden is fit again and will surely be a long-term pick. Jeremy Doku and Oscar Bob have been given the nod out wide in the opening 2 games, but Foden and Omar Marmoush will be targeting starting spots. Bernardo Silva is club captain and could return, given Rayan Cherki struggled to impact the game on his first start. And that's without mentioned Ilkay Gundogan, who could also depart this week, and Nico O'Reilly. Gianluigi Donnarumma to Manchester City, transfer latest as intrigue continues. Manchester City could yet sign Gianluigi Donnarumma this summer, but there is confusion over their goalkeeping situation. Manchester City are waiting for clarity on Ederson's future, ahead of a potential move for Paris Saint-Germain goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma. City have denied claims they have agreed personal terms with the 26-year-old Italian international as they consider a complete revamp of their goalkeeping department this summer. The Blues will only make a move for the PSG stopper if Ederson leaves the club. Galatasaray's bid for the 32-year-old has been turned down, but they could yet return for a player with only 1 year left on his contract. Ederson was on the bench for City's defeat to Tottenham on Saturday, with James Trafford handed a second successive start after his £27 million move from Burnley. Trafford made a mistake for Spurs' second goal, and after the game, Pep Guardiola insisted that nothing should be read into the selection in terms of his long-term number 1 this season. There is the potential for a change in goal for Sunday's trip to Brighton, but much of that will depend on what happens with Ederson's future. Galatasaray are yet to return with another bid for a player. City are open to selling, given he has just a year left on his contract. If he doesn't leave the club, it is unlikely that City will press ahead with plans to sign Donnarumma. PSG want around £40 million for the goalkeeper, but their hand is weakened by the fact that Luis Enrique has made it clear that the Italian has no long-term future at the club. City is Donnarumma's most likely destination at this stage of the window, but club officials insist the move isn't as far advanced as personal terms being agreed. He was given a big farewell at the Parc des Princes on Friday night, but doesn't appear to have a move lined up. The goalkeeping situation is further complicated by third-choice Marcus Bettinelli's injury, which has so far prevented Stefan Ortega from leaving the club. The German was expected to leave this summer after Trafford returned from Burnley. With just a week of the window to go, City will hope to find clarity within their goalkeeping ranks sooner rather than later. Manchester City make Rico Lewis transfer decision after fresh Pep Guardiola talks. Rico Lewis had been offered a transfer to Nottingham Forest in the summer window and has now made up his mind after speaking to Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola. Rico Lewis is set to snub Nottingham Forest and sign a new contract with Manchester City. Forest had made an official approach to City for the versatile defender last week, but he has now decided to stay put. The 20-year-old defender came through the City Academy and has made 95 appearances for the club. He has been nurtured by Pep Guardiola, who has fielded him in a variety of positions and played 44 times last season. Forest tried to tempt the fullback by offering to double his wages at the City ground after signing his teammate James McAtee for £25 million. But Lewis said he was happy at City after playing in the 4-0 win over Wolves on the weekend, and the Daily Mail reports that he will pen fresh terms with the club. Lewis will sign a new 5-year deal to increase his wages and commit to a further 2 years. His decision was foreshadowed by Guardiola, who spoke to his defender after Forest's approach and said he was confident of keeping him after opening the campaign with a thumping win at Molineux. "I think he is going to stay." "I think," he said. "He told me that. But maybe tomorrow it changes." For example, for the case with Phil Foden, for Rico, for Nico O'Reilly, I have special sympathy because they were 16 or 17 years old when they arrived here and we were winning Premier Leagues. In his role, he is an extraordinary player, but he is so small. If he was taller, we'd say, "Oh, what a player." Today, I think he is going to stay, but I don't know what is going to happen. Forest's interest came after talks with City over a new deal stalled, and he was left out of the squad for the FA Cup final against Crystal Palace at the end of last season, but he made it clear after the Wolves game that he never really considered leaving. "For me, I've never ever seen myself at a different club," Lewis said. "I've always wanted to play for City. It's my dream club, and like you see today, when I'm playing with the kind of players that I'm playing with, it brings out the best in me, so I'm so happy everyone wants assurance and security, but at the end of the day, it's on me. It's on me to perform."